Hey guys, Kevin Kaufman back with the Next Level Agents podcast. Today's a special episode, and so I'm just excited to share this with you. This is something I've listened to. Actually, I watched the video of it a couple times, both live and recorded with my team. So every Tuesday, Fred and I, some of you know this, do a Zoom with our community at EXP. And what we do is we talk to some of the really smart agents around the country that we have in our group, because we have some super massive producers, some big thinkers, just some really amazing folks. And everyone shares, usually two or three people a week share. And occasionally we get a really unique subject. And so I wanted to share this one with you. So what you're about to listen to is an excerpt from a weekly, what we call Next Level Tuesday Zoom, from Nina Patel. And Nina and her husband, Neil, are out in the Houston market. And I'll tell you a little bit more about Nina. She's a top producing agent. She's earned accolades for her outstanding performances, including the Icon Award, one of the top 250 teams at EXP in just her first 7 months in joining. But Nina's experience goes beyond selling homes. She's also a certified yoga and meditation teacher. She incorporates mindfulness into her daily life and professional practice. Now, this is actually where this comes in, and I'm going to get to that point in a minute. So her unique blend has honed her emotional intelligence, which has enabled her to connect deeply with her clients, with her buyers and sellers, helps her to understand their needs, and guides them through their real estate journey with empathy and grace. And so this talk, it's about 15, 20 minutes long. I forget exactly how long it is. It's going to be about emotional intelligence and using emotional intelligence in your real estate practice. It's pretty amazing. I think you're going to learn a lot. Like I said, I've listened to this a few times myself, and I'm about to listen to it for another time, a third pass through, because it is that good. I think you're going to like it. So without further ado, I bring to you my friend Nina Patel. Keep in mind, this is an excerpt from a Zoom. It was not intended to be on the podcast, but hey, here we are. Here's my friend, Nina Patel.
Nina Patel, she runs an awesome team with her husband in South Houston. They have now been a part of the EXP family for less than a year. Is it a year yet? No, it's got to be
No,
like
it's
6 months
7 months
or
now.
less. Yeah. So they run an absolutely phenomenal team, doing crazy volume. They just hit top 10 in the state of Texas at EXP, which is massive because I think there's now 10,000 agents in Texas. So they crush it in South Houston. They do some stuff similar to us, but a lot of things different and better. And so Nina, why don't you take it away?
Oh my gosh, Andrew, thank you so much. And I'm not as professional as Andrew with the PowerPoints. I'm just going to speak from the heart. So a big component of our success that Andrew talked about has been my husband's and I ability to manage emotions and emotional intelligence, applying emotional intelligence skill set as we navigate our clients through the real estate transaction. And so just to kind of a heads up for everyone who doesn't know, but April is actually National Stress Awareness Month. Okay. And so this actually works out in a very timely way because I think it's very important nowadays with what happened with COVID. I can honestly say, because I am a certified mental health practitioner, that about 85% of everyone in the world has chronic stress. I can actually say that. We've just had a lot of long-term effects that have happened through COVID that has changed our entire perspective on how we live. And so when we are dealing with buyers and sellers, yes, we have to manage their emotions. We got to manage our emotions. But just think about it. A real estate transaction actually does not involve just 2 or 3 people. It's a minimum of 23 people to about 35 people, right? You've got the loan officer, loan processor, appraiser, inspector, all these different assistants that are helping to navigate the real estate transaction. And each person is going through their own chaos in their life. There's someone that they know is dying of cancer. There's someone that they know is graduating. There's some happy moments. There's some sad moments. Everyone's going through their own drama in their life that they're trying to deal with. And you as an agent have to really be mindful and strategic on how you navigate those 23 to 30 people to get your client to the closing table. And so we found that really using the skill set of emotional intelligence helped us be more proactive with the process instead of reactive, because it's very easy in real estate to, oh my gosh, this has to get done and that has to get done. And when you start applying these emotional intelligence skill sets, I felt like a big shift in my business where I was more in control of the process. And maybe it was through experience, I'm not quite sure. But I felt as though the clients had a much more enjoyable experience because you're able to see the foresight and what could go wrong, but also applying the skills of emotional intelligence, you're able to navigate and get people to really get on the same page of taking your client to the closing table. And so a couple of things that I want to mention to you, and what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to manage both your own emotions and the emotions of everyone around you. Okay. And so it's very important when it comes to emotional intelligence to understand how to manage your own emotions first before you can actually affect everyone around you. And so with emotional intelligence, it does take discipline, it takes consistency, and it takes self-reflection. Okay. Now, when it comes to real estate and applying it to buyers and sellers, I've got a couple of tools that I feel can really help with agents who are, seeking to really make the process a little bit smoother. And the first thing is what agents can do is become an active listener. I think when we meet somebody for the first time, especially if it's at an open house or you're at a listing appointment, the first thing that you want to say is, I'm top this, I'm icon, I'm this, I'm at EXP. You're talking really about you and trying to convey confidence through your merits and your accolades, but you're not really listening to your client's needs. And allowing people to speak is very important because they're going to tell you exactly what they want, right? And if you're cutting them off with your accolades and trying to put your vision to them, you're not really going to understand what their needs are, what their wants are. And so someone may say to you, oh, I'm looking for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. But what they're really saying is, I need more space. I need a house that has more, like a better education, or a schooling system has a better education. So when you're listening actively, you're actually listening for the things that they're not saying. And when you understand what the pain points of your clients are, that's when you can convert them easily, because that's when you start applying your value proposition, right? So you now, instead of just throwing out your value proposition and seeing which one sticks with the client, you're actually creating a solution for their problem based on active listening. One of the things that you can actually do to become active listener is really listen without judgment. And I know that's really difficult to do nowadays, because you kind of want to be the person that's providing the solution and give them an opportunity to, finish, before they even ask it. You want to be the person that says, I've got a solution for you. But you really want the process for them to feel like they've been heard. And you had a guest on last week that actually talked about this, is allowing your clients, or even if it's someone that you work with, whether it's an allied partner, for the opportunity to be heard fully. And when that happens, trust gets built, right? And when that happens, they're sharing information with you, whether it's events, milestones, travel. And what you do with that information is you pull on it. So maybe you have a similar travel experience. Maybe they're going through a graduation, and so you bring in your graduating senior as well. You're starting to develop deep connections with your clients without sounding like you're selling. And I think that's been the biggest aha moment for my husband and I, is we stopped selling. We started becoming better listeners and offering value where we found out where their pain points were. Does that make sense? So the second thing that I find really powerful, and this has become very effective with negotiations, is silence. Now, in the Western world, silence is very awkward. We actually call it awkward silence. And what it does is it actually makes the other person uncomfortable when there's silence. And the good thing about silence is when you're going through negotiations and you set a precedence of a pausing, a moment of quiet, you're actually allowing everyone to kind of process everything that's come through. And in that time, you're telling the other agent or the other party that we are confident in our decision and we're going to take time to make our decision. In that capacity, because everyone has ADD nowadays, that other party is now thinking in their head, oh my God, they've got another offer. They've got this and they've got that. And so now I've used silence. Maybe it's a day, maybe it's a half a day to say, hold up, we're going to take a pause on this negotiations and allow them to kind of go through their mental chaos of what they're going to, thinking that the deal is going to get salvaged. And then I come in a day later and say, okay, here's what we really need is my client needs a seller leaseback. Can you do that? And they're more willing to actually negotiate because they think they're going to lose the deal based on the fact that we didn't get back to them right away. That makes sense. So that to me has been a very powerful move when it comes to negotiations. I had the opportunity to be in a seminar with Ryan Serhant from Bravo's $1 Million Listing, and someone had asked him what is his number one negotiating tactic, and he actually said silence. So I thought that was really cool that he kind of validated what Neil and I have already been doing in our part of our negotiations, is the fact that we know how to bring silence into the negotiation portion of the transaction. Emotional intelligence. One of the other wonderful things about building on it is you become a more efficient problem solver. I feel as real estate agents, we're constantly solving problems. No matter how many deals we've done, there's always something that's going to pop up that you're thinking, oh my God, I didn't even think about this, or this problem came up. And when you have problems that come up, you look at things much more objectively because there's no emotions tied into the problem. And so when you're able to look at things objectively, you see things from a higher perspective. And when you see things from a higher perspective, you actually can see all the options that are available. When you are stressed and the client is looking to you for answers, and you carry on that stress with that client, you're going to be myopic in your decisions. You're not going to be able to see clearly. But if you step away and can look at things on a much broader scale, you're then able to offer your clients options. And when you offer clients options, they feel more in control of the decision that they're about to make. And so say, for example, we have an issue with an appraisal, okay? I'm able to step back and say, okay, seller, here's the problem. Here's 3 options that we can do in regards to this low appraisal, and let them choose, let them feel they're in control, but you've guided them to the point where they have those 3 options versus, oh, well, it's okay. We now have to drop the price. Let's go. This is what we have to do. So I feel like that has really created a much better experience for our clients because they always felt like they were in control of the situation, but they also felt that they had a agent who was supporting and guiding them through all the objections and all the obstacles through the real estate transaction. And lastly, I think the best thing that I feel as emotional intelligence has really done is enhance the client experience. When you are being proactive with your clients and instead of being reactive, they just enjoy the process more. So we realized that Google reviews were coming more naturally. We didn't have to force it. They were sharing information on the Facebook pages. They talked about how we made things so seamless and effortless, or how we became saviors during a time when there was an argument with the other party. There's a lot of stories that get developed through the transactions that make the client remember and have a much better experience when someone is able to really clearly, confidently manage that portion of the transaction. Okay. Lastly, I think people genuinely know when you love your job. People genuinely know if you are being authentic and being of service. I think if you are not coming across as being of service to others, then people will sense it and they will not have that connection with you. And so it's really important that if you want to be in this career, you've got to really love working with people and helping people. And I think that's the thing that I find so enjoyable about this is I really get to help people on an everyday basis. And it shows. People see it in my aura, my enthusiasm. When I get excited when I do a walkthrough with a client, I'm just as excited for them as if it's my first walkthrough. So I really love what I do and it shows. And I think that in itself it attracts, that's the law of attraction, wanting people to work with you because you look fun and you make it seem so easy and you make the process so stress-free. So that has been a big component to this factor as well. Okay. Overall, emotional intelligence and developing your own self-awareness takes time. It takes discipline. I think the one person that I feel like I think is very emotionally intelligent is actually Andrew. I think is an amazing listener. The first time I met him, I knew he was on a stage and he was getting heckled by somebody, and the way he handled that process, he was very calm, but you can tell that he listened to what the real issue was with that particular questionnaire, and he answered it really appropriately. And I thought, man, Andrew has got emotional intelligence for sure. It's very active listener. So that's, I think, another success story of someone who's actually in the industry utilizes, who may not even know it. Andrew, I don't know. Did you know that you had emotional intelligence?
I know when I'm on stage, it's better to not yell at someone that I wanted to yell at. I do know that.
So if anyone has any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may all have.
I'll pipe in real quick.
Yeah.
I think this is an issue that so many people have, that if they were a better listener,
Yeah.
they would be such a better salesperson, a better friend, a better person. But so many people have the affliction of thinking about what they want to say next rather than, actually listen. And if you listen to people, they tell you what they want and they tell you how you can solve their problem.
Yeah.
There's 30 something people on this. And I would say, a lot of us struggle with that. And some of us do it some of the time. So that was a huge takeaway for me. I didn't have a question. I just thought that was something that I wanted to hammer home because it's something I see all the time that people suffer at.
Yeah, I'll just add, I think that more often than not, people that come into our industry or are in our industry, like they want to know what to say, like give me the thing to say. And you really touched on, or what I took away, Nina, was like listening before you say anything matters, but also like how you say something and how you respond, knowing what's going on with people in the situation.
Correct.
Is way more important than what you say. I mean, what you say matters, how you say matters, but like it's also about like that active listening that you keyed in on, and being able to meet people where they are. And I think of, in our world, Kevin and I have somebody in our world, her name's Jill. She's our director of admin. She's worked with us for years. Like, she has incredibly high emotional intelligence because she manages people from contract to close on all of our transactions. And she gets stuff done that, if I'm just being blunt, like many of our agents would not get done because they would rush into their own emotions and their own stuff. And so it's when you find somebody that's good at that, whether they're aware of it or not, as you mentioned, but they're good at it, there's a lot to be learned from that. So anyway, this was really, really good. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.